So far we have learned how to locate web elements in the different way approaches and different ways using the basic attributes like ID, name, and then CSS and XPath and so on. And also we have seen different types of XPath and how to create a relative XPaths and so on. So from today we are going to start how we can interact with the different type of web elements. So what is a web element? Web element is an element which is present on the web page. It can be input box, it can be checkbox or radio button, drop down, anything. Whatever you can see on the web page, which is called as a web element. In the Selenium perspective, you can call it as a web element. And in some automation tools, we can call them as a web objects. Web objects or web element, anything is same. But in Selenium, normally we can call them as a web elements. Everything is a web element. Okay. So first of all, let's see how we can handle these web elements. So before handling is nothing but first we need to locate a web element and then we will perform certain type of an action on the web element. Every web element is having different type of actions we can perform. So before going to learn how to handle different type of web element, there are few commands are there in Selenium and we have to learn those commands before interacting with the web elements. Okay. So there are 5 types of commands. We can say commands or WebDriver methods. We can say methods also. So these are all predefined methods which are already there in WebDriver, and we should know how we can use those methods. So let me list out those methods. So get methods, conditional methods, browser methods, navigational methods, and then wait methods. So these are the 5 different categories of methods which are very commonly used in our automation. And these are not related to web elements actually, but yeah, so we can use these conditional methods on web elements also, but there are some more other commands also there. These are some basic commands which we have to use on day-to-day basis in our automation. Okay, so first we'll start with these commands. First, get methods. So there are some methods and all these methods we can access from the driver, WebDriver object. So as soon as you create WebDriver driver equal to Chrome driver, by using the driver object, we can access all these methods. Okay. So first let us start with get commands. There are 5 to 6 commands are there under get commands. So we'll see what are those commands and then I will show you practically how we can use them. So get methods, we can access these commands through WebDriver instance. And why we are calling them as get methods? We can simply say all these command or methods are starting from get keyword, like get title, get current URL, get page source, get window handle, get window handles. So these are the 6 commands or 6 methods are there in WebDriver. And what is the use of these commands? So get is one method. When I pass URL as a parameter, so this will opens the URL on the browser. So this we already seen many times. So as soon as if you want to launch any browser or open the URL application, so this the command or method we have to use. And get title. Sometimes we need to perform some validations on the titles of the web page. So if you want to get the actual title of the web page, and that we will compare with our expected title. So in those cases, we can get the title of the current web page using get title method. So this will also returns the title of the page in the string format. Same thing, get current URL. So while navigating between multiple pages, if you want to validate the URL is correct or not, so you can capture the URL of the web page that you can compare with your expected URL. So for that we use get current URL. So this method will return URL of the web page. And get page source. So this will return source code of the page. So whenever you browsing some page, you will get some response from the server. Actually, that response is we cannot understandable format. So that is a combination of HTML, JavaScript, some CSS. The combined code will be there. So if you want to get that page source, so we can use this command. It will return the source code of the web page. And for example, let's say you can take any web page. So I'm just browsing one page. But as a user, I'm able to see this Google form, but actually the server is responded like this. You can see view page source. If I use this, this is your view page source. So if you want to capture this information from the page source, you can use get page source command. The next one, get window handle and get window handles. So the get window handle method will returns an ID of the single browser window. Means, so normally elements are having some attributes. Suppose if you inspect this element, you can see attributes of the web elements in the DOM itself. Here you can see, but every browser window, suppose I'm using this google.com, okay, and this browser is having some kind of an ID that will be generated at the runtime, and that ID is also more dynamic. Every time you won't get a same ID, okay, and by using that window ID we will do certain type of operations like switching between multiple browser windows, or if you want to perform actions on multiple browser windows. If you want to achieve this, we need this window ID. So that window ID we cannot find anywhere. Even in the DOM also, it will not be able to generate. Even in the DOM also, we cannot see that. Only at the time of browsing the web page or at the time of opening the web page, that ID will be created by the browser itself at the runtime. And that ID will not be same. If I open google.com page now, the ID will be different. Next time it will be different. Every time when you open the browse or when you refresh in the browser or when you open the application, every time the ID dynamically will change. So if you want to capture that ID, we use this command, get window handle. And sometimes if you are opening multiple browser windows, let us say here, okay, I'll try to open some application. So this, let's say I have opened one application here. So this window is having one ID by default. And when you're trying to navigate some other window, suppose I'm clicking some link and it is opening another tab or another browser window. Now currently I have a two browser windows. Now I want to capture the IDs of all the browser windows currently open. So currently two browser windows open. So I want to get these two IDs dynamically. In that case, we can use this get window handles. Okay. So get window handle return ID of single browser window, whereas get window handles returns IDs of multiple browser window. So I will discuss them in detail with an example later. So these are the basic get commands, or we can say get method. Okay. So that ID contains some combination of numbers and characters. It is ID is basically in the form of string it will return. Okay. Get window handles return IDs in the form of string. So we will discuss that later in detail. So this is not the right time. So I'm just listed out all the methods which are comes under get methods. Get title, get current URL, get page source, get window handle, get window handles. Right. So now we'll see practical examples on how and where we can use these commands. Let's go to Eclipse and let's create. It is just give only ID, and we can also call it as a handle, the value of the handle for every browser window, which every browser window is having that ID that will be generated at the runtime. Okay, so now let's create a new package and say day 26. Inside this, I'm creating new class. I call it as a get methods. Okay, so now let us try to use these commands by taking some application. So I'm taking this Orange HRM application. So I'm trying to launch a new web page. I can say WebDriver. We have to first create WebDriver. Can you see my screen, guys? WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver. Right. So Control Shift O. So packages are imported. Now I'll try to launch an application, driver dot get off. So this is a URL of application. So I just open this. Okay, this is a URL of application. Just copy this URL and paste it over there. Now, so as soon as you launch my web page, okay, so the first command is what? Get. So what is a get command is doing? Get is a taking one URL of the application as a parameter, and this will launch our application on the browser. And who will launch the browser? Our driver constructor. So as soon as you created an object for the Chrome driver, this will launch our browser. And once it is launched, we are launching the URL, or we are opening this application URL on the same browser. And will it return anything for us? Get method. So get method doesn't return anything. It is just saying void. Get method will not return anything, but it will take parameter and do some action. So get method will be used to launch the application URL. So this is the first command. All right. Now the next one. So once you launch your application, I want to find title of the web page. So this every web page is having some unique title. Normally, where we can see the title, if you inspect this particular web page, on the header tag, you can see one new tag called title here. So this is the title, orange HRM. This is the title of the web page. Okay. And this title will be different from one page to another page. So if you want to capture this title, then we can use get title method. So I can say driver dot get title. So you don't need to remember all these methods, guys. It's very simple. If you just simply say driver dot, just type get keyword, it will show you all get related methods. Okay. So I'm trying to use get title. So what is the return type of this? This return type of the method is string. So get title method will return the title in the form of string. So you can store that value in a variable, then you can use it for comparison, or if you want to directly print, you can still print it. So I'm directly printing by using print statement. So driver dot get title. So this will return the title of the current web page, and that I'm going to print in the console window. So this is second command, get title. So get title returns the title of the web page. Okay. Now you can see this is the title of the web page. Right. So similarly, we have another command called get current URL. So this will return the URL of the current web page. So that is exactly equal to this one. So whatever URL we open, so the same URL. Suppose if you are navigating between multiple pages, then you will get a different type of URLs. Okay. So get current URL. I say driver dot get current URL. And this will also return URL in the form of string. So that I can print directly. Driver dot get current URL. And if you still want to store in a variable, you can store in the variable, and then you can compare with your expected URL as part of validation. This is a get current URL. Yes. So we still not done anything on the web page, just we are capturing the required information. So now you can see this is a URL of the web page. So it is exactly same as this one. As in the beginning, whatever URL we open, same URL it will be written. Get current URL. So next one, get page source. And this will return page source. But what is the use of this page source? So what is the necessity of this? Normally, Page source means if I right click and view page source, it will show you the page source. This is actually written by the server, but we cannot understood this particular language, right? So the browser will convert this into UI format. So in the UI format, we can see everything. But if your page is in this particular format, we cannot understand, right? So if you want to capture the source page source, we can use this command. But what is the use of this page source? Sometimes if you want to do some validation on this page source, let's say some text is present on the page source or some element is present in this page source or not. And if you want to check, first we need to capture the page source. Okay. And then we will check or we'll do some validation on the page source. Okay. But this is not that much important. We don't do source code validation most of the times, but they have given some command like this. This is page source. Let's try to execute this. Driver dot get page source, and this will return the entire page source, so in the string format. So that try to print it. Driver dot get page source. Okay, now we can see this, the console window we got entered the page source. So this is all page source which is written from the application. So from here it is started. From HTML is the root node, right? So everything it is. So which contains HTML, JavaScript, combination of code. Because normally web pages are designed by using HTML and then combination with the JavaScript. So this is get page source. And we never use this command most of the time. It's not much important. And the next is get window handle, get window handle. So these are the most important two commands. Most of the times we use this in our automation. So for now, just understand what exactly this will return. But once it is written window ID, with that window ID, we will perform some further operations. Okay, I'll show you that also. First, we'll see how we can use this get window handle. So this will return the ID of the single browser window. Single browser window. Okay, so let me just a second. Yeah. Okay. So just commenting this page source for now. Right. So now we'll see get window handle. So we already launched this particular page. Okay. So now I want to capture the ID of this current web page. Can say driver dot get window handle. So this will return the string type of data. So I can just print it. Okay. Let me store this. So basically get window handle will return the string type of output. So the ID will be present in the form of string. So I'm taking one string variable, string window ID. And after that, I'm trying to print window ID. Okay, so I can also put some small text, window ID. Okay, now, as I said, this window ID is not a constant value. So this will keep changing dynamically at the runtime, because this ID will be created by the browser at the runtime. So if you look at here, I'm launching my browser, opening the URL. So this is the window ID which is got returned. See this is a window ID. Okay, now next time again I will run one more time. Now this time you can see it will return another type of window ID, because this will not be the same every time. Yes. Now this time it is written on another type of window ID. Okay, this is in string format. See, now we can't compare these two because both are totally different type of IDs which are generated. So whenever you are launching a new browser window, as soon as you launch a new browser window, the ID keeps changing. This is dynamic. Okay, so this is a get window handle. Get window handle will return the ID of the browser window, single browser window. Now, sometimes if I open multiple browser windows, then I can capture the IDs of multiple browser windows at the same time. I'll tell you what is the use of this command. First lesson, how we can use it. Get window handles. It will also returns the IDs of multiple browser windows. So whenever you want to use this command, uh, if you have at least one, if you have one single browser window, anyway it will return single ID. But if you have a multiple browser windows are open, then it will return IDs of all browser windows. Okay, so for example, what I'll do is, this is a web page we are currently opening, right? So I will comment this window ID also, right? So this is a web page currently opening. So this is having one ID. So after opening this window ID, so what I will do is, I will try to click on this particular link in the bottom, Orange HRM Inc. So once you click on this link, it will open another browser window. So now I have a two browser windows. And once you open the second browser window, then I will use get window handles commands so that we will know exactly whether it is returning IDs of both the browser windows or not. Okay. So what I will do is, this page we already launched at the beginning. Now I will perform click action on this element RNHRM Inc. so that it will open another browser window. So let's inspect this element. And yeah, you can take this as a partial link text or you can use as an XPath. Anything is fine. Right. So I'm taking this link text and try to click on this element. So driver dot find element by dot link text. And this is a link text dot click. So this should be dot click. Okay. So once you click on this element, then what happens? It will open another browser window. So this action, or this will open new browser window. So that is the reason we perform click action. Okay. So once it is open new browser window, now I'm going to use get window handles driver dot get window handles. Yeah. So now what is the return type of get window handles? So get window handle will return single browser window ID. So it is a string. Get window handles will return multiple browser windows in the form of strings. Every window ID is a string, but this time it is returning multiple, right? Not only single, multiple window IDs. So the return type of this method is set. Set collection will be returned. And what is the set contains? All are strings, because all IDs we are going to store in the set collection. So here I'm taking one variable called window IDs. Now the type of variable is set of string. Set of string. Now this set collection we can import from java.util. So these are the collections already used in Selenium. Okay, so the get window handles returns set of string. Why it is a string here? Because all IDs are in string format. Okay, why it is set? Why can't we can use a list collection here? Can anyone tell me the reason why they have used set instead of list collection? Yes. So window IDs are unique. So all window IDs, each browser window is having different type of ID. Okay, they will not be the same. So set collection doesn't allow the duplicates, right? But if it is a list collection, it is allowing the duplicates, but there is no possibility to have a duplicate IDs. So that is the reason they have created set collection. The window handles return set collection. Okay. Now, if you want to print, so currently we open two browser windows. So it is returning IDs of two browser windows. Now this variable contains the two browser windows. Now I want to print them. How we can? How we can get those browser windows? From the set collection. From the set collection, how we can extract window IDs? Okay, let's try to print it directly. I just put this variable inside this println. Just observe. Yeah, it is giving an error. So let's see what is an error it is giving. So whenever you get an error or exception, just try to read it so that you will know some information. Yes, no such element exception comes. And when you will get the no such element exception, in which scenario you will get the no such element exception? Whenever it is unable to locate an element, then you will get an exception. And why it is unable to locate element? What element it is? This is the element. Or in HRM link element, it is unable to locate. It is not saying element not found element. It is saying no such element exceptions. So whenever you say no such element exception, most of the times it is because of synchronization problem, because the page is loading slowly, but by the time it is trying to find this element. But if this element is not still available on the web page, then it is throwing unable to locate an element. Okay, then what is the solution for this? For now, just add one wait method. You can add wait method anywhere, but as soon as you launch my web page, here I'm adding this red dot sleep, and I can put 5000 milliseconds. So this will also we will discuss as part of wait commands later. All right. So now if you execute this, you can see the actual operation. So first it should launch my browser, then it should click on the link, right? So after 5 seconds, yeah, it is clicked on the link, then it is open another browser window. Now I have a two browser windows, first one and second one. Now if you look at here, it is written the entire set collection. So the first value is this one, the ID of the first browser window. This is the ID of the second browser window. But it is returning in the form of set. But if you still want to get individual values, how we can get individual values? Either you can convert this into array list and use get method, or you can use a looping statement. You can use for each loop and then you can get the individual values. Okay, that's the process. Okay, that we'll see later. So this is this is how we can capture the IDs of multiple browser windows. Okay, so for now, just remember only this much. And what we can do with the window IDs? What is the use of these window IDs? So sometimes what happens is, if you have only one single browser window like this, if you want to close this automatically, then how we can close? Through automation, I want to close this my browser window. You can simply use driver.close command, or you can use driver.quit command. So they are all comes under browser methods actually. There are two commands, close and quit. Suppose when I'm using close command and when I'm using quit command, what is the major difference here is close command will able to close only one single browser window at a time. Suppose I have one browser window like this, I can close this directly because I have only one browser window. And suppose you have multiple browser windows. Suppose I have a two browser windows, or you may have a number of browser windows. Now I want to close all of them at one shot, or I want to close all of them at a time. Then you can go with the quit command. So quit command will close all the browser windows at a time, whereas close command will close only one browser window at a time. Okay, that's a major difference. But now my question is, let us say I have multiple browser windows like this, multiple. And how many are there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this 5 browser windows, I want to close some of the browser windows based on my choice. Let's say first and second I want to close, or second and 5 I want to close, or 3 and 1, 1 and 3 I want to close. So based upon the choice, I want to close that particular browser window. So how it is possible? This is very popular interview question. Remember this. If you are using close command and only one browser window will be closed, whichever browser window is got focused by the driver, that will close. When I use quit command, it will close all the browser windows at a time. Now, based on my choice, I want to close specific browser window. Then what I should do is, first you need to capture the IDs of every browser window, and then you have to loop it. Each and every browser window you have to capture. Based on the browser window, ID, we can get the title, and then we will compare the title with your expected title. If both are matching, then we will close a particular browser window. So that's a process. But before that, before using these window IDs, we should know how to switch between multiple browser windows. So currently, normally what happens is I open this web page. This is my first web page I open. Now, where is my current driver is focused on this particular browser window. As soon as you click on this link, it is open another browser window. Now, where is our driver focused? First page or second page? What is your guess? So as soon as I click on this link, it opens another browser window. Now I have two browser windows. Where is our driver focused? So most of the times we think driver will focus on the second web page, but no, driver is still focused on the first page. It cannot directly switch to one page to another page until unless we do it. Okay. So as soon as you click on this link, even though it is opening another web page like this, but still driver is focused on first browser window only. Okay. But now I want to perform some action on the second browser window. So here I can do some actions, username, password, everything I can do. But as soon as you open the second browser window, and here I want to perform some action. Let's say I want to click on some link here. I want to verify something in the second page, but driver is still focused on the first page. So how we can get the driver switch to one browser window to second browser window? So this is possible using switching commands. Okay, so in the coming sessions, I will introduce those commands, how we can switch between one browser to another browser, how we can switch our driver to one browser to another browser. So once it is switched, how we can switch to switch one browser window or another browser window? What is the source? What is the parameter we require is window ID. So if you know the window ID, by using that window ID, we can switch to one browser window to another browser window. Okay. Suppose if you know this window ID, this browser window ID, I can easily switch from first browser to second browser window, then I can perform the action. So where exactly in that particular scenario, we will use these two methods, get window handle, get window handles. But I will show you that scenario later. Just I'm giving you some basic understanding. So where exactly we use this get window handle, get window handles. But before learning these two methods, we have to know how to switch between multiple browser windows. We have a separate kind of switching commands are there. So once you understand the switching commands, then again we will come back and discuss about get window handle, get window handles. Probably in the next session, I will show you that example. Okay. So these are the two methods are available. For now, just remember get window handle will return the ID of single browser window. Get window handles will return the IDs of multiple browser windows. Okay, so that is enough. So get window handle will return string. Get window handles returns string of set collection. String of set collection. Even this is also keeps changing. Same ID you will not get every time. Okay, so these are all comes under get methods. All methods are accessible from the WebDriver instance. Understood, everyone? So these are the get methods. So far, everyone is clear. Please confirm in the chat box. Now I'll move to the next one. Very simple, very easy. I can take any web page and you can explore these methods. You can apply these methods on any type of web page. Randomly, you can take some web page from the internet. You can try these commands. Just do one round of practice. Okay. So now let us move on to the next one, conditional methods. They are very, very important. Conditional methods. Okay, so conditional methods we can access from the web element, not from the driver. Okay, conditional methods we can apply on the particular web elements. Conditional methods we can apply on particular web elements. And get methods will not work on the web elements. These get methods will work on the web pages. Okay, so get title, current URL, source, handle. These are all related to web page. but not web element. Remember the difference. Okay. All get methods will work on the web page level, not at the element level. We are not going to interact with any element here. We are just used these methods only by launching the browser window. That's it. Okay. Whereas conditional methods, we can access or we can apply these methods on the web elements. Okay. We need some web element. On that web element, we can use this conditional method. So there are three methods are there. And these three methods will return true or false. Boolean value will be returned. Is displayed, is enabled, is selected. These are the three methods are there. Is displayed, is enabled, is selected. So get text is another method which we can also use along with the web element. Suppose if there is an element, if you want to capture the text of that web element, you can use get text. So get text method will not comes under this category. Why? Because these get methods will access only from the directly from the page, but get text method will related to web element. Okay. Get text method we can access only from the web element, not from the web page, not from the driver. But these get methods we can access only from the driver instance, whereas get text method we can access from the web element. I will show you that also, but that is not comes under this particular category, right? So get here conditional methods. So conditional methods we can use on top of web element. Will perform is displayed. Means what? It will check that element is displayed or not. It can be any type of element. It can be image or input box, link, button, anything that is displayed on the page or not. That we can verify by using is displayed. And is enabled. Sometimes some elements will be disabled and enabled state. And we can check that element is still enabled or not. And that element is in working condition or not. We can check by using is enabled method. And this is also we can use for any type of web element. Is selected. And this method especially we can use for radio buttons and checkboxes. Means what? Suppose the radio button is there. You already selected. And when I use this method, it will check the radio button is already selected or not. If it is already selected, returns true. If it is not selected, return false. Same thing for checkboxes also. I have multiple checkboxes. I have selected some of the checkboxes, but some of the checkboxes are unchecked. So this command will check whether the checkbox is selected or not. If it's selected, returns true. If it is not selected, return false. Okay. So these are the conditional methods we can access from the web element, not from the driver. Okay, remember. And these conditional commands will return a Boolean value which is true or false. All right. So now we'll see the practically how we can use these commands. Let's create another example. New class. Additional methods. Okay, so this time I'm trying to open some other web page. So driver equal to new Chrome driver, and then I'm launching my packages. And this is the page I'm launching this time. So you can just look at this. NOP Commerce registration page. Okay, now we can see some small registration form is there, and there are different type of web elements. Some radio buttons are there, input boxes, drop downs, and some checkbox also here. Right, some elements are there. Okay, so we'll try to use this conditional commands on this particular web page. Also, as soon as you launch my page like this small window, I want to maximize it. So how can we maximize the page? Driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. So this command will maximize the web page. Okay. Now, the first command is what? Is displayed. Is displayed. So this particular command will check the element is displayed or not. Okay, for example, let's say I want to verify this logo is displayed or not. This logo is present, right? I want to verify this logo is displayed or not. So what I can do, first we will capture this as a web element. Now inspect this element, and you can create your own XPath, or you can directly go to selector hub. From the selector hub, you can get the XPath of the image. Okay, this is a IMG. So this is XPath. So I'm getting this XPath and capture that element. Driver dot find element by dot XPath. Okay, and this is the web element. Now I'm storing into a variable. Now tell me, what is the type of this variable? Type of this variable is what? Type of the variable. Why it is Boolean? Did I use display method on this web element? Did I use any isDisplayed method? No, right? But why you are saying Boolean? So this will return always web element. Find element method will always return a web element. So this logo is what? Is a web element variable. Okay. It is a web element variable. We have to import this. Right. So once you get this web element, then we can apply the conditional methods. Okay. Now I want to check this logo present or not. Simply what you can say, logo dot is displayed. Is displayed. And this will return a Boolean value, true or false, that I can print. System.out.println logo dot is displayed. Okay, so here I will put something. I can say display status of logo, like this. So before using this conditional method, we need to capture the web element. So we capture this entire web element in a variable, and then by using that variable, I call this isDisplayed method. So from where we are accessing this method? From the web element class, not from the driver. Okay, now execute. Okay, now open maximized. Now you can go back and see, yeah, display status of the logo is true. It is displayed. Now I will write something. You guys can tell me whether it is correct or wrong. I'll write driver.find element by.xpath, and also I'm using same thing, same XPath. Okay, dot is displayed, and here I'm taking a Boolean variable called status, and now here I'm printing display status. Okay, now tell me, is this statement correct or wrong? Correct or wrong? Can we write like this? Yes. Why? Because we are identifying the element here. Once it is identified, instead of storing that element in another variable, I'm directly using is displayed. Okay. Now final method is what here? Is displayed. So what this will return? A Boolean value. So this variable should be Boolean. And that I'm going to print. But in the first case, what I have done, first we capture the element in a variable, and then I call this is displayed with a variable, and then I print it directly. And you can also write like this. Anything is correct. I hope this is clear to everyone. It's very basic context. Okay. Now, is displayed method you can apply for any type of web element. So you can also check this input box is present or not. This label register is present or not. Okay, and anything you can check on this web page. And the isDisplayed method is applicable for all kinds of elements. Now, the next method is enabled. Is enabled. Okay, and this method especially used for input boxes. Most of the times we'll use it for input boxes and drop downs, radio buttons, and checkboxes. Okay, because images we don't do any actions, right? So even image is enabled or not, nothing to do with that, right? But suppose input box is enabled, then only we can pass some text. Okay, suppose here I want to search for something. If you want to type something, that input box should be enabled state. Okay, and if it is disabled state, I cannot pass any value into it. That's called disabled status. Enable and disable. Enable means it is allowing us to provide some data. Disable means it is not allowing to provide some data. Sometimes you can see disabled fields in your application. So in those cases, you cannot pass any value into it. That's called disable status. So most of the times before passing the value in it, we can check this input box is enabled or not. That's a conditional statement. Okay. So let me check some element is enabled or not in this particular web page. So let me check this one. Search store is enabled or not, or you can check the first name is enabled or not. Let me inspect this element. First name I'm taking, and can go back to the XPath selector hub. Okay, this is the XPath which is given. Now I'm using this XPath, and this also is enabled also will be used on top of web element. So I can say driver dot find element by dot XPath. Okay, now if you want to store this in another element, you can store another variable, or else you can directly use that method. Dot is enabled. And what this will return? What is the type of this variable? What is the type of this variable? It should be Boolean. Okay. So once you capture the web element, on top of web element, we apply this method is enabled. So this will check enable or not. If it is enabled, returns true. If it is not enabled, then returns false. And before passing the value in the input box, we can cross check whether that element is enabled state or not. If it is enabled state, then we can continue. If it is not enabled, then we don't continue. So as a part of validation, you can use this method, especially the conditional methods we use as part of validations. So here I'm just printing enable status. Okay, that's it. And suppose if you apply these methods for any disabled fields, then it will return false. Yes, I already told you, right? So this method, you can use it for any type of elements. Any type of element, but there is no use. Radio buttons, checkboxes, that is fine. But what is the use of using that method on the logo? Some static text, no use, right? So this will return true. Enable status is true. Okay. So when it is a valid, you can use it for anything, but the problem is, suppose if you are using enable or disable, can we check that logo is enable or not? Does it make any sense? Nothing. Right. So for example, label, enable or not, is it make any sense? Nothing. Right. But where we can use exactly is, suppose if you want to perform some action on that element, suppose radio buttons. So before performing an action, you can check whether it is enabled or not. So that is a valid. It makes sense. Same thing for input boxes also. You can use it because we can do some kind of operation here. Enable or not, you can check. Same thing, drop downs, you can check. Check boxes also, you can check. Okay, but it doesn't make any sense if I use for labels or images. Nothing to do with this. Enable or not. Even buttons also you can check whether button is clickable or not, enabled or not. If it is enabled, then only we can click. If it is enabled, if it is not enabled, we cannot click. Okay, other than the static kind of elements, all other type of elements we can apply. Static elements in the sense, there is no functionality associated with it. It is just display on the web page, but there is no action for those elements. They are called static elements. Okay, apart from those type of elements, you can apply these methods for any type of web elements. Yes, that is also a true scenario. Sometimes submit button is not enabled. So until unless you provided all the fields. So then what you need to do first, you need to provide the fields, provide some data. And after that, you can check the submit button is enabled or not. So before providing the data, should be disabled. After providing the data should be enabled. Both the scenarios we need to validate as part of automation. Okay. So that is also part of the validation. So before providing the data, it should be in disabled state. That's our expected. After providing the data, it should be enabled. That is also our expected. Okay. Suppose as part of your requirement, after providing the data also, the submit button is not enabling, then it is a bug. Okay. After providing data also, the submit button is not enabled. That is a bug. So before providing, it should be disabled. After providing, it should be enabled. That's our expected. So we need to also do the negative testing like that. Okay. So these are the condition enabled method. So isDisplayed method will check the element is displayed or not. Enabled method will check the element is enabled or not. In other words, we can say the element is operational or not. Okay, element is displayed or not, element is operational or not. I can say we can check display status of the element is enabled. We can check enable or disable status of the element. Especially this is operational element, not static element. Okay. Now, can we first use get for particular page followed conditional method? So you can use any way. Okay, you can use conditional method first, then you can use get methods next, vice versa. But it's up to your test case. Based on the test case, you have to follow. So in the test case, you have a steps, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. The same order, we have to automate the test case. We need to consider the steps of the test case, not the commands. Okay, according to the steps, whichever command is applicable there or appropriate, we will use that command. So you need to follow the test case while automating the test case. Okay. Now the next method is selected, and this method we can use to check the element is selected or not. Selection. So selection means what? It is applicable for checkboxes, because checkboxes we can select, uncheck, or we can select or unselect. Radio buttons also we can select or unselect. What else we can do? Yeah, radio buttons and checkboxes mostly we will use is selected method. And sometimes drop down also. This drop down we can select some value. As soon as you selected some value from the drop down, we can also use is selected method. Whether the drop down is already selected value or not, we can check by using is selected method. So this particular method we can apply for boxes, radio buttons, and also drop downs. Is selected. Yes. Now let us try to use it. So the next method is selected. Okay. So on the same web page, so I have 2 radio buttons are here. So by default, none of them are selected. Mail reveal by default is selected or not? No one is selected. Okay. Now if you apply this method, is selected method on male and female radio buttons, what is an output you will get? Because none of them are selected, by default, nothing is selected. So when I apply is selected method on male and female on both, by default, I will get false because they have not selected. Okay. So before applying, what I should do is we will capture these 2 elements. Radio buttons we have to capture. Male and female, both I will capture. So how to capture it? Inspect this element. You should inspect the round shape, not on the label. Okay. So you need to inspect like this. This is the right way to inspect, not this one or not this one also. You need to exactly point the round symbol. Now there is an input tag is there. Even for radio button, check boxes, input boxes, for all of them, you can see same tag name called input. So this is input tag. Okay. Now I can use a locator. So you can see there is a XPath is got generated. So I'm using this XPath. You can use any type of locator, CSS or whatever you want, you can use this. So I'm capturing this element. I can say driver dot find element by dot xpath, and I'm storing this element in a variable. This is a mail element. I can say mail underscore RD, mail radio button. And what's the type of this variable? What's the type? Obviously, it is web element. Everything is a web element. Okay. Same way, I will also capture female radio button. Let's inspect that element. Yeah, this is another radio button. Driver dot find element by dot xpath, and I'm storing this also because I want to perform some further actions on these elements. That's the reason I'm storing into the variable. And if you don't have any further options, directly you can use is selected method. Okay, web element, and this is female underscore RD. Okay, so now I have captured both the elements. Now just observe. I'm using mail underscore RD element dot is selected, and I'm printing something here. So before selection, I'm trying to find a selected status of male radio button and also female radio button. So what is our expected? False, because none of them are selected at the beginning. Both are not selected. So obviously we are expecting false. Okay. Let's see whether it is returning false or not before selecting any of the radio buttons. Okay. So I have not selected anything. Just by default is empty. Now if we go back and see before selection, both are false. Before selection, both are false. Okay. Now I want to select one of the radio button. Okay. So here I'm printing after selecting male radio button. After selecting male, again I will print both. Okay, but how to select? If you want to select any radio button, simply what you can do, take that element, dot click. Just use click method. So this will select radio button. Okay. So as of now, which one I'm selecting? Male radio button I'm selecting. So this will select male radio button. Okay. So once you selected, then again I'm printing the status of male radio button and female radio button. Now tell me what is your expected here? So male radio button I've selected. So what is the status of here? This is true. Yes. What is the status of the second? Obviously false, because still it is not selected. Yes. Now we can see the radio button is got selected. The first one is got selected. So as per our expectation, first one is returned true because it is already selected. Second one is still not selected. It is still false. Okay. Now what I'll do is this time I will select female radio button after selecting female radio button. So instead of clicking on male radio button, I'm trying to clicking on female radio button. So this will select female radio button. Okay. So now the result will be opposite, right? So this will return false and the second one returns true. Because in the radio buttons, you can select only one at a time. Both you cannot select. But if it is a checkboxes, you can select multiple checkboxes. Instead of selecting one, you can select multiple. One or multiple you can select. So it is got selected female radio button here. Yes. Now you can see. Yes. So after first initially both are false. After selecting male radio button, the male is written true, female is written false. After selecting female, then it is returning male is returning false and female is returning true. So this is our expected values. Okay. Yes, you can use it, no problem. Because without selecting the radio button, if you apply isElected method, it will just return false because it is not selected. That's the purpose of using isElected, whether that element is selected or not. How we will check? If you already selected, then it will return true anyway. If it is not selected, it return false. So you can use isElected method before selection or after selection at any time, no problem. Okay, you can still use it. And before selection, if you apply isElected method, it will return false. And without selecting, if you apply isElected method, which will return false. Okay, that is a method. So is it clear, everyone? Same thing you can try for checkboxes also. For checkboxes also, we can check whether it is selected or not. So for example, let me show you quickly. This is the web page. On the same web page, I have something called newsletter, right? So if you open the page freshly, and by default, this new selector is got selected by default. So can we apply isElected on this? Yes. When you apply isElected, what is the value it will return? True, because which is already selected. Okay, let's inspect this. Okay, this is a newsletter element. So now I'm applying on the newsletter, enabled or not. So just observe. You can say driver dot find element by dot xpath. And I just want to verify is selected or not. So I can simply directly I'm using is selected. I'm not storing into another web element because I want to perform only one action. And that I can store in a Boolean variable. Boolean. Okay, this is what this is a newsletter, right? So newsletter status. Right. Now, what is the status you are expecting here is true. So newsletter checkbox status. I'm directly printing this. All right. So this will return true. And for checkbox also, if you want to check or uncheck, we use click method. So now newsletter checkbox is true. Okay. So now is it clear, everyone? So is displayed, is enabled, is selected. So these are the three methods which are comes under conditional method, which are very, very important in automation, especially when you do validations. Okay, first we will learn individual commands, but once you start creating the test cases, you will do validations. We will learn validations also. Okay. So is displayed, is enabled, is selected methods widely used in validations, whether the elements are displayed or not, element is enabled or not, elements are selected or not. And is displayed method you can apply for any type of element. It can be static element or it can be operational element, any type of element you can apply is displayed. Is enabled method we can apply on operational methods, but it will also work in static elements, but there is no use. Okay, so most of the times it will apply on the elements which are operatable or operational elements. And is a selected method we can apply for radio button, checkboxes, and drop downs also. Okay, if there is any drop down, if the value is not selected from the drop down, then it will return true. If it is selected value from the drop down, it will return false. That is called is selected. Okay, I will also discuss about drop downs in the coming sessions. For now, you can skip it. So these are the conditional methods, three methods. Now, the next one, browser methods. So far, everything is clear. Please confirm in the chat box. 1 second. Everyone, conditional methods are clear. Yes. Now let us move on to the next one, browser commands or browser methods. Only two methods are there. We already discussed close and quit.
close and quit. Major difference, there is only one difference. Close command will able to close only single browser. Close command will able to close only one single browser, whereas quit command will able to close multiple browsers. Multiple browsers at a time it can close. So let me show you an example. Okay, so let's create, I'm taking this get methods example. Okay, so I'm trying to remove all these things. Okay, just observe, I'm just trying to launch this particular page. Also, I put some wait statement. Okay, now just observe here, I'm clicking on some link. I'll show you this web page. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I'll open this web page. And once you open it, then I will click on this link. So this will open another browser. So currently, how many browsers are there? 2 browser windows are there. So same action I have done here. First, I open this page. Then I click on this element. Then I will have a 2 browser windows. Now let me use driver.close. Driver.close I'm using. Okay, just observe what will happen. I'll put this wait statement here so that you will exactly notice which one it is got closing. So 2 browser windows are open. I'm using close command. Okay, this is my first browser window. Yes, there is a problem with the synchronization. So what I will do, I'll put another wait statement after launching my browser. Okay, now you can see 2 browser windows are open. First one, second one. Now just observe the first one is got closed. The first browser window, which is called as a parent window, is got closed. The second browser window still alive. What does that mean? So I already told you one point. Whenever you open 2 browser windows, the driver will focus on the first page. It cannot shift to one page to another page immediately. So even though it is open another browser window, second browser window, still our driver is focused on first browser window. So that is the reason the command close command is closed only first browser window. Okay. So now I want to close both the browser windows. Then I can use quit command. I can say driver dot quit. This will close both the browser windows, 1 and 2. Let us see. Okay, this is my first browser window. Just observe. After 5 second browser window is also opened. Now after 5 seconds, both will be closed. Yes, both the browser windows are closed. So that is a major difference between close and the quit. So close command can close single browser window. And which browser window again? In 2 browser windows are open, only single browser window will be closed. Which one is that? Wherever the driver is focused. Okay, close single browser window wherever the driver is focused. Okay, and quit command will close all the browser windows. Right? So this is a major difference between close and quit. But again, based upon my choice, I want to close parent or I want to close child. Depends on my requirement, how we can control. We need to know the switching commands, how to switch between one page to another page. After switching, you can close it. Okay, that we'll see later. So remember that point, interview perspective, which is most important. So get window handles along with the switching commands, we will use it. Okay, these are all browser commands. So three kinds of commands or methods we learned so far: get commands or get methods, conditional methods, and browser methods. Okay. So we also have a navigational methods and then wait methods. In the tomorrow session, we will discuss this. Okay, navigational and wait methods. Wait methods are most important. We have implicit wait, explicit wait, fluent wait, and thread or sleep also will discuss something. Advantages, disadvantages. You will get more entry questions on this. So tomorrow session, we will cover navigational commands and then wait. Okay. So as part of assignment, what you guys can do is I will show you one thing assignment. So can just go to this web page. I'll show you test automation practice blogspot.com. So go to this page, and in this particular page, whatever commands today we learn, apply all the commands. So just find out the title of the web page, capture this URL, capture the page source. Okay, and what else we learn? Get the window handles. Okay, and get the window handles, IDs. And after that, try to interact with these elements, check boxes. Check boxes are there and also radio buttons are there. You can check enable and disable status of radio buttons and check boxes. And also we can check enable and disable status of the input boxes. Okay, so you can try this for today's session, and tomorrow I'll give you some more assignments. So do some kind of a practice on this. So whatever topic so far we discussed, just apply these topic on this page. So that is a assignment for today, and tomorrow we will continue with the rest of the commands, navigational and then wait commands. Okay, so I'll stop here for today's session. Tomorrow we will continue.